Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, or if it's your first time, thank you for watching this video. My name is the Mature Exotical Lady and I do videos about my opinions. I'm still developing this channel, so to be honest with you, I'm actually not sure which direction it's going in. But so far I'm in Italy and I've been doing sort of like walk and talk videos, and now I'm on my way to the supermarket, so I thought I would do another walk and talk, literally. I am going to buy some yogurt because I've run out of yogurt, and I do like yogurt with my protein powder. So that being said, let's go. And it's been another lovely day and I need to turn on the lights. I've been working remotely from here, and I finished 2 meetings this afternoon, and yeah, went well. No issues with the connection. I've got a local SIM card as well as my own data on my normal mobile phone plans from the UK. So I really had no problems with connecting on the internet and being able to work when I need to. It's been great actually. So yeah. So basically, one of the things I thought I'd talk to you about today really was, I've mentioned in previous videos that I suffer with ulcerative colitis and I had my large bowel removed. So I thought, for those people who may come across this video, or who may do a search on, people who have ulcerative colitis, especially from the black and ethnic minority communities, because I haven't really seen much. I remember when I was looking on YouTube, when I sort of first got diagnosed with the condition, I came across, some videos where people had ulcerative colitis and actually it had progressed and they had their bowel removed, large bowel removed, but I never really found anybody who was from the ethnic minority, Caribbean or African community. So I thought I would talk about that. I'm just about to put my rubbish in the rubbish tip. I normally do, when I'm going to the shop, I take the opportunity to bring the rubbish out, as I'm sure most people do. So basically, yeah, I mean, it's been really difficult. It's been really difficult, guys, honestly. I mean, what happened to me was towards the late 2019, I started bleeding, from my rectum. But it wasn't a lot, but I knew it wasn't normal for me, and I'd gone to the doctor, GP in the UK, and I saw initially one of these nurse practitioners, and she just said to me, oh, it's probably piles, just change your diet, because she did an internal examination and she couldn't see anything, she couldn't feel anything, so she thought it might just be piles. And I did kind of notice around that time previously I had some problems with a bit of constipation, but I just put that down to what I was eating, because at that point in time I was really into so-called healthy eating, which involved eating a lot of fruit and vegetables, high fiber foods, because that's what they tell you to do for healthy eating, right? So basically that was me. I was exercising regularly, I would go sauna regularly, I was slim, I was healthy. I was going through a lot of trauma though, and I'll talk about that in another video, right, about events that I think contributed towards my development of this condition. But for this one, it's just really to tell you about how I discovered I had the condition. So basically, they sent me away, and this was around November 2019. And it continued, all right? But I wasn't in any pain or anything like that, but I was worried, you know. Now, after Christmas, I decided I'm going back because I started to notice that I was feeling like more urgency to go toilet, you know, like suddenly I would feel more urgency to go toilet. But when I went toilet, not a lot would come out. And when I say toilet, I mean number 2, you know. Not a lot would come out. So I decided, okay, something's not right here. And obviously I was looking on the internet, as you do. NHS Direct and all that, you know, researching what the problem could be. And I was making myself scared. So I made an appointment to go back. And this time I said I need to see the doctor. I need to see a GP. So anyway, I went back and I think I had an appointment in January, all right? And the thing is, at that appointment, I did see a GP, and he said to me that I should, he gave me some sort of prescription for, to be honest with you, to this day, I don't know what it was for, but it was to do with bowel movement anyway, I believe. And also, he was telling me to eat like a fibrous diet, but he said to eat like soluble fiber, you know, like porridge, oats porridge, that sort of thing. You know, he said to eat oats porridge daily, all right? And at that particular appointment, I did tell him, because I had a grandmother on my mother's side who passed away before she was 60. She was in her late, I think she was about 59. She was definitely in her late 50s, okay? And she had passed away from a bowel condition when I was about 4. But all my life, I don't know why, but I thought that it was bowel cancer, but I really don't know for sure. But anyway, I mentioned this to the doctor. I mentioned to him that I had a grandmother on my mother's side who had some sort of bowel condition. I don't know whether it was cancer, but that's what I thought it was. But, you know, given what was happening to me, I didn't really know. So because I told him that there's this history of bowel-related issue in my maternal family side, he said, okay, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to, you know, refer you to the hospital to have a sigmoidoscopy, they call it, right? And he explained it's where they put a camera up your rectal area into your colorectal area to see, you know, what's going on up there, if everything's all right and so forth. So I said, okay. So anyway, he did that, and then I got an appointment which was for around March. It was in the March, all right? Which was at the time it was maybe about the middle of January. So this appointment came for like 6 weeks ahead. Now, during that period of time, everything carried on as normal, as in I was still having this sort of bleeding, but I wasn't getting any pain, and that was the main reason why I wasn't sort of jumping up and down at this point. I wasn't getting any pain, but as I said to you, I would suddenly feel this urge that I want to go to the toilet. That continued, and then when I would go to the toilet, not a lot of stool would come out, basically, you know. So anyway, the date of the appointment comes. I go to the appointment. Now, before you go to these appointments where they do a sigmoidoscopy, yeah, they will send you like preparation, you know, guidance. So you have to use an enema to put up your rectal area to make sure it's all cleaned out as much as possible, you know, so that they can actually see, the camera will actually be able to see what's going on. So I did that, and you got to do this like 24 hours before. So I did all that, went to the appointment, and anyway, when I was in the appointment, the lady said to me, is there any history of irritable bowel disease in your family? And I said, I don't know. And again, I said to her, and this was literally while she was examining me, and I said to her, I don't know, but I had a grandmother who passed away from some sort of bowel-related issue, and I thought it was cancer. So she said to me, because what she's seeing is that I've got an ulcerated colon, large colon, right? So she said that it looks like some kind of bowel disease. But she said there are different types of bowel disease, so they would need to literally take a sample, send it to the lab, biopsy, I think that's what they call it. They would need to take a biopsy to establish exactly, you know, the form of disease it could be. All right. But she said, this was literally the nurse examining me. So she said to me that I should go back into the waiting room, and then there'll be another nurse who will actually come and explain it all to me in more detail, what's going to happen, sort of thing. So I was like, okay. Obviously, I was glad that they wasn't seeing anything else, and obviously I was glad I wasn't in pain, okay? So anyway, I went into the waiting room. Then the nurse consultant came, you know, sort of like explain more in depth. And so she did explain to me that irritable bowel disease affects the colon and the I'll stop there, guys, me and my pronunciations. But basically your gastrointestinal system, okay, can be affected by irritable bowel disease, which is a very different condition to irritable bowel syndrome, because I did have irritable bowel syndrome, and I'll talk about that in another video. But the two are not the same at all right? So basically, she said to me there are two types. There is ulcerative colitis, and then there's Crohn's. And she explained to me that ulcerative colitis usually means that the colon, the large colon, has become inflamed and it has developed ulcers. All right. Now, she said with Crohn's, the whole gastrointestinal system, in other words, from your mouth literally down to your large colon and including your small intestines, is usually affected in different parts, or can be affected. And obviously I'm not a medical expert. I am just summarizing my understanding of what I was told back then, you know, after I had this sigmoidoscopy. So basically, she said that based on what they saw, she's pretty certain that I do have a form of irritable bowel disease, but they need to establish which variety, okay, they would need to send that off to the laboratory to be confirmed, and then they'll be able to let me know. So me, of course, and she said the thing about this irritable bowel disease, she said there's no cure for it, which threw me a bit. And she said that it's a matter of managing the condition. And she said that you know, it's usually managed through medication and diet. But what she said, when she said diet, she said a very bland diet. She said that I should avoid fiber, okay, because clearly the large colon is irritated, it's been irritated, it's inflamed, all right? So from the point of view of treatment, she was saying that they advise a very bland diet, you know. So for example, if you're having bread, no whole wheat bread, no whole wheat rice, you know, basically eat white rice, eat white bread, mashed potato, banana, you know, non-spicy food, you know, to help relieve the inflammation. Okay, now she said until they know exactly the type of disease I have, they can't prescribe me any medications. This is what she said, all right? Even though she mentioned that they believe that I have a form of ulcerative colitis. Okay? So, after that, I went home. I didn't really know what to think, but, you know, I still wasn't in any pain. So I was thinking, okay, let me eat what she said. And also I did my own research. Thinking I would find out more about it, okay? And I was coming across these, you know, these YouTube doctors. And I even came across one doctor who was on YouTube who was talking about how for ulcerative colitis, they've been doing research, you know, on patients with the condition. Researching patients that they've asked to actually do the reverse and eat a high fiber diet, right? But anyway, I really didn't know what to think. But at the same time as this was happening, and this was all around March, as I said, like, I can actually remember. This was like literally the 10th of March. I think my appointment was the 10th of March. Was it the 10th of March? No, I think it was earlier than that. It was earlier than that. Actually, it was February. My appointment was actually in the February. Because actually, no. Anyway, guys. All I know is, by the time of the first lockdown in the UK, which was in March, I was in crisis. I was in crisis. Now, what had happened after I had gone home, that's sort of the week after, there were events going in my personal life. My husband had issued a divorce against me, all right? And that's a whole nother story that I shall tell you about at some point. But he'd issued a divorce against me, but we were still living together, all right? And things were emerging around my ex-husband's way of life that I was really not aware of, all right? And about a week after I'd been to that appointment, I discovered something quite shocking that my husband had been deceiving me about, okay? And I don't know I can't say obviously that it contributed. Well, yes I can actually, because actually I do believe that the shock of what I found out actually sent me into a crisis health-wise. I really do, because it was that shocking. And I will talk about that. I don't want to talk about it now, but I will talk about it in the future, because I think that, again, it's another experience that people could be interested in, because they could learn from it as well, right? And I'm kind of like stopping now talking, because I'm standing still talking because I've reached Deco. So I just want to sort of like say that basically that definitely contributed. Now the other issue was that up until all this while, when I started bleeding, as I said to you, from the November 2019, I was going through this divorce. I was extremely stressed. I wasn't eating properly, you know, because of what I was going through, because I'm a very sort of emotional person. I'm highly sensitive to, I would almost say, anxiety. I mean, I've never been diagnosed with anxiety, but I'm somebody who feels things in the gut, you know, literally. I suffer with anxiety when I feel vulnerable. Yeah, when I feel very vulnerable, it does make me feel quite anxious. And how I know it's anxiety is because I can literally shake. So anyway, these things were all happening, all right? So I say that to sort of indicate that I do believe that my immune system was weakened because of those events and because of historical events. Again, a subject that I will talk about in the future. But in any event, all this happened just before we went into a lockdown in March 2020. And suddenly I found myself in terrible pain with this condition. Terrible pain, and I couldn't stop going to the toilet. It was terrible, terrible. I tried. My daughter was my youngest daughter, who is 21 now. At the time, she was 16. As I say, I was still living in the same house, still sharing the house with my ex-husband. And basically, his nephew had come to stay with us because of lockdown, because he was in university. He had come from, my ex-husband was Nigerian, so his nephew had come from Nigeria and had been studying in a Welsh university, and then he came to stay with us when the universities locked down, literally. So it was a terrible time, honestly. I was just wasting away. I couldn't eat. I couldn't even drink. I kept going to the toilet and just pure diarrhea and blood was coming out. And then I started vomiting and I was rapidly deteriorating. And I was a slim person because I was, I've been slim for a long time, all right? Usually I'd put on weight when I had children. I've got 4 grown up children now, but whenever I put on weight, it's usually been due to pregnancy. But then afterwards, after a while, I would lose the weight. So basically, I went to A&E and I made the mistake of telling them that I was actually under the gastrointestinal clinic, the nurse, and that they had taken a biopsy, that I had an appointment, and that, basically they were going to get back to me with the results of this biopsy. But they had told me that I had a form of bowel disease, inflammatory bowel disease. It's not irritable bowel disease, sorry guys, it's inflammatory bowel disease. So I correct myself, okay? For those of you who are coming here who are aware of the condition, you would know that what I should have said is inflammatory bowel disease. So basically, they sent me away. And I literally couldn't go anywhere without wanting a sudden urge to go to the toilet. It was terrible. We even called out the ambulance, and again, the same thing. They said to me that I would need to contact the clinic where I was an outpatient. I mean, we were literally being sent from this service to that service to the other service. Anyway, what happened in the end is that one day, I started vomiting and I had nothing to vomit, right? And by now we're in lockdown. We're actually in lockdown now. And so the bowel nurses, or the gastrointestinal nurses, can't remember what they're called now, but basically you couldn't get hold of them. You had to leave a message and then someone would call you back. So I'd done that, and eventually someone called me back and she said, what we're going to do is we're going to send you out medication. And we'll leave the medication at the reception, and the main reception of the hospital, right? And you can collect them. So they did that. My daughter and my ex-husband went to collect this medication, or a prescription rather, and then they had to go and get the medication, yeah? So I was taking that medication in the hopes that it would help me, but to be honest with you, my condition was so far gone, that medication wasn't making any difference, all right? And this was around a week after now. So we're literally talking around, say, the 14th. No, we're talking about the 21st of March, towards the end of March now. Yeah. So that medication wasn't working. So after a few days now, my daughter got back in contact with the GP. I was on the phone to the GP, doing my best to explain to the GP that I can't eat, I can't drink. I'm totally dehydrated. I've lost so much weight and I didn't have any weight to lose. I literally could see my elbows and my knee bones were sticking out. I hadn't been able to wash my hair, everything. It was just terrible. I literally had resorted to the sofa where I would have a bucket, and my ex-husband and my daughter were trying to buy food that they think I might, be able to eat, and I just couldn't eat. I would literally take a mouthful or a spoonful and I would just, couldn't taste it. It was terrible. At one point they thought, well, maybe you've got COVID, But anyway, he said, look, this doesn't sound good. I don't know why you were sent back by A&E. He said, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send a referral direct to the assessment ward in the local hospital at where I live, and you shouldn't have to wait in A&E at all. They should take you straight round to the assessment ward, short assessment ward. So basically, that's what happened. My husband dropped me and my daughter stayed with me, God bless her heart, because she was only young and she was petrified, you know, what's going on with my mother. And literally, they took me in, all right? They took me in eventually. And the hospital at that time, because it was the main hospital where I was at that time, and they were sort of separated into COVID or suspected COVID cases and non-COVID cases. Oh, what an experience, I tell you. But anyway, let me go into the supermarket and I'll finish the story walking back. Yeah, so I've got my my yogurts and I got some milk, and I bought myself a pack of meat as well, actually, while I was out. So yeah, just missed them before they close, because they close about 8:30, and here in Italy it's an hour ahead of the UK. So anyway, so basically at this point I'm in the hospital and I'm there, and I was in the hospital a whole week before they even did a CT scan. What they had done is they gave me steroids. They were trying to treat me, right, with steroids and painkillers, morphine and something else they were giving me, but it was horrible. I mean, it was horrible, you know. I wasn't getting any better. They were weighing me every day. I still couldn't eat. I mean, it was just unbelievable the way the whole situation unfolded, you know. And then literally a week after I'd been admitted was when they finally decided to CT scan me. And the reason they'd done that is because one day the consultant came to the outpatient service, who had been, you know, I was waiting for these results, and I literally couldn't speak. I couldn't speak. It was like I'd gone into shock. I was in so much pain. The painkillers, the morphine wasn't working anymore. And I don't know, all I remember is being told that I was going for a CT scan. When I came back from the CT scan, next thing I know, there was a whole team of doctors around me. They asked me about next of kin, and then they were on the phone to my next of kin saying that I have to have a surgery, emergency surgery, because I had developed what they called a megatoxic colon. Yeah, literally the condition had been allowed to get so bad that holes had started to, basically holes started to develop in my colon, and it couldn't be saved, or that part of my colon couldn't be saved. So basically that is how I ended up finding out I actually had ulcerative colitis, and that very quickly, within the space of weeks, led to emergency surgery, the first of 3 emergency surgeries, which I shall tell you all about in another video when I talk about actually the experience of having my large intestine colon removed in circumstances where, as I said to you, on the day when I had a CT scan, no planning, just literally to save my life, really. So I'll leave it there for now because it's getting dark, and I'm gonna walk back home, and I'm going to make myself my evening dinner and do some more work before I settle down for the evening. So please give this video a like or an unlike if you found it unhelpful. Subscribe if you will. Help me get to 50 subscribers. And thank you, I got 1 subscriber. Thank you to my 1 subscriber who subscribed this week. And I hope, you'll enjoy this channel, really. I hope as I develop the channel, you'll stick with me. and I hope you find the subjects interesting. And if you are that one subscriber and you're watching again, please say hi to me in the comments section, because that would be nice. I appreciate you very much. And for anybody else, have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening or night. As you can see, it's evening now where I am. And yeah, blessings to you.